Hello everyone, it's David. It is Babylon 5 Season 5, Episode 17, Movements of Fire and Shadow. They say that the Centauri have been battling the Drazi. They say that retaliation murders have been happening all over Babylon 5. They say that the Centauri are targeting jump gates, even though that violates all norms of civilized warfare. President Sheridan tells Captain Lockley that he gave the orders for the White Star Fleet to engage the Centauri. In other words, Babylon 5 is no longer neutral territory, per se. And so they are going to be a big fat target out in space. Cue the entrance. Very important for those of you who want to continue on into the Crusader series. President Luchenko sent a proposal for a destroyer-class White Star, a joint Earth-Minbari project. She said that she would say yes to it if the Minbari committed first. So, Captain Sheridan wants Delenn to propose this to the Grey Council in person. Okay. Lita wants 500,000 credits to help Dr. Franklin leave for Drazi space to investigate why bodies aren't being released to them. Because whenever you have a war, it's very customary to have usually the International Committee for the Red Cross, Red Crescent handles repatriation of remains. And that's generally, one of the number one rules of warfare is you always return bodies, fallen soldiers to the to where their homeland is, basically. So they want to know, the Centauri want to know why aren't their bodies being repatriated. And we find out later the shocking truth, because there are no bodies to repatriate. We zip on in, and Jakar and Londo are kibitzing back and forth, and all of a sudden a blinding light knocks them both out. Londo is taken by a group that we call the Drac Surgeons, which I don't know that we've ever come up with exactly who they are. What race they particularly, if they're just a different kind of Drac, or if they're a separate species that's allied with the Drac. At any rate, they take Londo and prepare him for his keeper. We zip on in, and a group of Drazi and Narn plan to hit Centauri Prime. They want to take out the civilian targets. The Narns want their pound of flesh, and they want to bring a quick end to the war. They're of the opinion that if they cause enough casualties, that morale will crumble, and that they will give up the war that easily. A lot of contemporary things like the bombings in Germany and Japan and stuff have said that usually doesn't happen. Usually when you're bombing civilian targets, that ends up to steel people's resolve against the foreign invaders. Now, if any of you have any different conclusions, go ahead and put down below. But Sheridan, of course, wants to be the goody two-shoes, and he wants to go try and save as many civilian lives as he possibly can. So he takes a White Star fleet to try and intercept them. Lita forces a Drazi to kill himself when they were trying to intercept Lita and Dr. Franklin. Lita and Dr. Franklin find leftover shadow technology. Lita had been briefed by the Vorlons that she might come across them, and basically she said with 2 or 3 of these little, they look like big black bean pods, you don't need a crew on board a ship. That way, if you want to have suicide runs, you don't have to risk your own people to do it. You just put them on board this ship and send it off, and it'll blow itself up in the middle of a jump gate and knock out the jump gate. At any rate, it appears that this is what has been controlling the Centauri offensive fleet. You find there's an offensive and a defensive component to what they're trying to do. 4 Centauri ships engaged Delenn and beat the snot out of its White Star. That's slowly starts to spiral itself off the main beacon. And we end with the Regent ordering the fleet guarding Centauri Prime away on a false emergency, and he turns off the defense grid, and we exit with a Narndrazi war fleet coming out of hyperspace and starting the bombardment of Centauri Prime. So, things are starting to rapidly fall apart for the Centauri, and things are being set up for the next iteration of Babylon 5, Crusade. So, at any rate, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will see you next episode.